Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Level Up with Laiken. If you are looking for strategies to scale up your practice and the mindset you're going to need to do it, please hit subscribe. I interview a new lawyer every week who has implemented the strategies they're going to discuss with you to scale up their own firm. And today we have Danyelle Clark-Gutierrez. She is the owner of the Danyelle Clark-Gutierrez law firm. Danyelle, thanks so much for joining us today.
So much for having me, Ashley. I'm really excited to be here.
So if you could just, you're relatively new to the industry, which I think is so fantastic and part of the reason why I wanted to have you on today. So if you could please, and for those of you who don't know this lady, this is the ultimate badass female attorney. I was so impressed when I spoke with you, and Emily actually of JHQ was the one who told me, you need to talk to this girl. And when I did, she was so right, and I'm so excited for you to share your story with everyone today. I think you have a lot to offer, especially to the younger attorneys who are trying to walk the path that you've already walked or you're walking currently. So if you would, Danyelle, could you just tell everybody what you specialize in and how to find you?
So right now I specialize in, well, not just right now, but I specialize in personal injury, and I will be doing VA disability claims as well. I also do workman's comp, and I'm trying to get into lemon law.
Lemon law. Oh, well, we've got a great resource right here in JHQ for you. Have you talked to Michelle?
Yeah, we have a makeup date set up. So
That woman is a wealth of knowledge on the topic. So a lot of resources you have available to you on that. And I respect the fact that you are trying to become an expert in so many fields. That's really difficult to do. So let's talk a little bit about where you grew up, because I think that in part shapes who you are and what you became.
I'm from a little town in Michigan. I think there's like 908 people. Nobody really ever leaves. Where I'm from, you just kind of, you grow up, you graduate college or graduate high school, maybe you go to college, but most people just kind of stay and hang out. Middle management is about as far as you get. So me to even leave the state or go anywhere outside of Michigan is a really big surprise for everyone from home.
And then in your family, you have siblings, right?
Yeah, 3 brothers and a sister, and I'm the first in my family, other than my mom, who has some college credits to go to college, and the first in my extended family. I think I have 46 cousins, the first one to go anything beyond a bachelor's.
Okay. So, and that resonates with me because I am one of 7 and I have a little sister, so she will go to college. But so far, out of my extended family, I too am the first to go to college and get a graduate degree. So I'm well familiar with that. And that, I think, in and of itself presents some challenges that assist you later on when you decide you want to go do something like become a lawyer, right? Like when I was going to college, I didn't have anybody in my family to direct me. I kind of had to figure that out, and I made some mistakes that, I sit down with my little sister and I'm like, hey, it's time for you to go to college. What's your game plan? Let's sit down, let's talk about it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel here, So I'm guessing you probably faced some of those challenges that probably made it possible for you to carve out your own path towards your own big dreams later on in life.
Yeah, nobody's plans ever turned out exactly as they wanted, but I graduated high school. I planned I was going to go to college. I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 4. I was going to go to college and then go to law school, but things don't always work out as they planned. I was trying to work full time, go to school full time, supporting my mom, and I ended up actually dropping out of college and joining the Air Force so that I could use the Air Force to pay for my school.
That's huge. So you end up going to the Air Force. And I think you told me you served 4 years.
I did 4 years, just enough to get my GI Bill, and the Air Force was not for me. It was a wonderful experience. It made me, a whole different person. It gave me a new perspective, but it just wasn't the right fit for me.
Was your family shocked when you told them you were joining the military?
I don't think they were. I've always been kind of the black sheep that just does things, and then I kind of like, oh, hey, guess what? I did this. So I told them 3 hours before I left on the plane that I was joining the Air Force. I got a call in the morning. Like, hey, we have a job, or we have an opening for a linguist. I was like, sweet. They're like, awesome. You need to be in Detroit in 3 hours. So
Did you also have 3 hours notice that you were getting ready to go to boot camp?
3 hours.
Oh my gosh, wow. So you go to the military, and when you said that it changed who you are and your perspective, what do you mean by that?
So when I joined the military, I was coming out of a really bad situation, small town, and I actually had an incident where I ended up with a TBI and a fracture in the back of my head, and just all sorts of stuff that I was trying to remedy, I guess. So I went to the Air Force, and I was trying to use that to be, I don't know, a new confidence booster, kind of build me into not a better person, but a stronger version of myself. And it really did. You know, I was the dorm chief in the red rope, and I took leadership positions here and there and did whatever I could, but it was before the Me Too movement, and it was a time in the Air Force. I mean, it still is that, sexual harassment and sexual assault is really rampant, and there wasn't a lot of people doing anything to stop it or even recognizing the fact that it existed. So about halfway through my Air Force career, just one of the other people that I was serving with had just not right in the head, I guess. Some people just are like that. I don't know. And he ended up stalking, and then it just escalated and escalated and escalated until he got a no contact order. There was supposed to be punishment, justice. And then when I got out, I went to my husband's promotion party, and the guy that had supposedly I gotten justice against and had been punished was actually sitting at the table, graduating first term as a staff sergeant. He was being promoted to supervise other people after what he had done to me. So,
How'd that make you feel?
well, my service dog is here with me, and she's pretty helpful, but it's something that affects you for life. I have PTSD and all sorts of acronyms attached to my name now, and it's a fight every single day. That's part of the reason that I wanted to start my own firm. Me and my husband I can't work for anyone else, and I don't think anybody, nothing against them, but that people really don't understand the real stigma that there is around mental health, especially when it comes to attorneys. Everyone's fine with, attorneys drink a lot and there's a lot of alcohol, but when it comes to mental health and talking about that, I think it's a subject that hasn't really been breached very well.
I think it's pretty clear that when we're talking about things like the alcoholism rates, the drug rates, the suicide rates among attorneys, it all boils down to mental health.
Exactly.
And I think what you went through is very interesting in terms of the notion of justice, especially given what we've been seeing on the media. This weekend I saw the video of the half African American, half Latino lieutenant who got pulled over on the highway, I believe in Virginia. Did you see that?
He moved here from Virginia, and that did not surprise me at all.
And that's sad, especially in today's climate, watching that whole thing go down. I mean, personally, every move that lieutenant made, I understood why he did it. And I would have done the exact same thing. And watching everyone break it down, this guy who's a medic and the lieutenant and has seen the worst of the worst, to be weeping, very likely out of frustration because of this notion of justice, really shakes you to your core. And I think that somebody like you, given what you went through and having this man sitting at your table, graduating with you and not having to serve the punishment he was supposed to, probably shakes the sense of justice in your core, does it not?
Fiber of my being. It really upset the entire balance of what I thought justice was, and how I perceived the world in general. Changed everything.
And I have not been through what you've been through, but I've had some experiences in my life where you look at it and you say, what is justice, right? And I think that's a really important question, because that's the entire focus of our industry. That is what we do. It's supposed to be protecting the notion of justice, the notion of checks and balances, right and wrong, accountability, consequences, treating people with fairness. And when something like that happens to you, you're faced with a choice, right? And it's funny because of my personal experiences and my own mental health challenges. When I got a therapist and she broke down everything that happened, she said, it is no surprise that you became an attorney. You didn't experience justice for yourself, so you made it your life's purpose to go seek it for others because nobody was seeking it for yourself or for you. Would you say that now I know you said you wanted to be a lawyer since you were 4 years old. Would you say that what happened to you gave you a stronger desire to want to protect the idea of justice as you see it?
So much so. I worked Department of Justice before everything happened, and I had this view of justice. I was fine, being a cog and just making sure that justice prevailed on a broader scale, as long as I was a part of it. But after that happened, I realized that I'm not a cog and I don't fit in this justice machine that we have, which isn't working properly. So yeah, I would say that it didn't make me want to be a lawyer, but it definitely changed the type of lawyer I was going to be. I've always had conviction and compassion, but I fight harder for my clients than I fight for my clients like I wish someone had fought for me.
Yeah, I get that. I really do. And I'm grateful that you're sharing your story with us, because I think it's this idea of mental health, especially being a lawyer, especially being a female lawyer, especially being a mama like you are. I feel a certain sense of pressure to present this image to the world, the whole badass female, which I 100% in every cell of my body think that you are. Probably more so than most people that I know, men and women alike. But I feel a sense of pressure to present a picture that it doesn't matter what happens, I can power through it, I'm strong, I'm determined, I'm motivated. But what the world does not see and what social media does not see are the moments when the injustices of my own life or the world, they get to me. I'm not gonna lie, I almost cried when I saw that video, and I have when I've seen other instances of social injustice in the world. I will break down and cry, not only for that person, but because I feel that, right? And that in part did strengthen my desire to become an attorney, which, thank God I had somebody like a therapist to break it down for me, because it made sense of all of it. But I think that we face this idea where it's not safe to admit that in our own personal lives that we are having troubles. And I think that your story is a testament to it's okay to admit when you're struggling. I mean, you brought your service dog with you. You have no problem talking about it.
She's with me. She's my rock.
And I know you told me in one of your prior employments, you were having trouble because they could not accommodate you in terms of your PTSD and your dog, right?
An employer tell me that she had to stay in my office because one of the people out front had been bitten by a dog, and that made her uncomfortable. And I was like, well, I've been, bitten by men, and I still hang out with them. I'm still around them. Like, I understand that, some people have apprehensions, and there's not much I can do about that. But at the same time, she's not a dog. She's been trained since she was 8 weeks old to be a service dog. She's never known anything other than being a service dog. And I think that's another stigma that people have, is people see service dogs as dogs and pets, and they're not. She's a prescribed piece of medical equipment. When she takes her vest off, she's just a normal dog. She plays like every other dog, but when her vest is on, she's working. She's on top of things, and she is right at my side. She can sense when a panic attack is coming. She can sense when a depressive mood is on its way.
How does she react to those things?
It really depends on what I'm going through. Panic attacks, she does a lot of pressure and she tries to distract me. Depressive episodes, she really the same thing. She just tries to distract me. A lot of licking, which I don't like. I wish she'd do it some other way.
But I don't know a lot about service dogs, but I know people that have them. So how is she of service to you? Is it because she distracts you when you're going in a certain direction?
Yeah, so she can sense a lot of like the chemicals, the chemical imbalances and things when my depressive episodes go up and down, or when I'm like about to have a panic attack. And then she also does, I don't really know what it's called, but it's kind of like nightmare response. So I have night terrors, and she will jump on the bed and wake me up, or like lick my face to wake me up from night terrors.
That's amazing.
She's
That's amazing. Okay, so you go to the Air Force, you leave, and then where do you go?
First Texas for basic, then Monterey. I did 63 weeks of intensive immersion in Korean. I don't speak Spanish, but Korean, good to go. Yeah, I did that in Monterey for 63 weeks. Then I did top secret training in Texas again, and then Korea for 3 years.
Okay. And then when you got out of the military, did you then go to law school when you got out?
So I kind of did things backwards. So I got out, I had my daughter, and then I adopted my son, and then I got divorced. And then when I met my new husband, he recognized everything. I didn't know I had PTSD. I didn't know I had any of this until I met my new husband, who was actually a mental health tech. And he was like, hey, all this stuff that you're doing is not normal. So he's the one that encouraged me to like go to a therapist and talk to them and get started on, back on the right path. And he's also the one that encouraged me to go back to law school. Or go to law school. So 2016, I went. It took me 4 years after I got out, 3 years.
And when did you graduate?
In 2019. I graduate with my LLM in next month.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be done.
Oh, I bet. I bet. And while you're trying to accomplish these huge feats, because law school is no joke, right? And while you're trying to do this, and you're also in treatment, trying to overcome, your mental health challenges, how do you feel today?
I mean, I'm so today. The last couple of days have been pretty rough, just because finals are coming up, and it's a big pile of everything all at once. Starting my firm in January before I graduate with my LLM, while kids are still being homeschooled, it's probably not the best decision. It's a day by day, but that's the good thing about having my own firm, and my husband working with me. He's graduating in May from Pepperdine with his JD as well. So it's nice that he's there whenever I do have bad days, because some days I don't know. Some days, it could be something I watched on TV or something someone said, or I just might have nightmares all night. And then the next day I'm just useless. I mean, I can button it up to get something done if I need to for an hour or two, but it's grueling to try and get anything done when I'm in those places.
So let me ask you, because I think you would probably be better equipped than most to answer this question. And, I've done some Clubhouse chats, and I've done some women's conferences on this idea of work-life balance. I don't like that name, because I feel like there is no such thing. We do the best we can. But when, in terms of somebody who is suffering from something like PTSD, who is also a mother, who also wants to go to law school, who, gets through that, is running their own practice, what do you do when you get overwhelmed or feel immense stress? How do you manage that?
I don't drink. I wish. I mean, I'll have a glass of wine if I really need to try to take the edge off, but it's a really slippery slope, especially when you have PTSD, because it's so easy to use. I try to just be calm and quiet, which I have ADHD, so that's really hard to do too. But I just put on my headphones and I listen to, Famous Twins or any other really rappers, new hip hop and R&B rappers that are coming out. Just put on my headphones and I sit in the hammock and I just do nothing. My husband will take the kids, or we'll have his parents watch them, and I just literally just nothing for at least half an hour.
And those are his stepchildren, or they're his stepchildren, right?
So my two oldest are from my first marriage. They're his stepchildren. And then we have a 2-year-old together.
Man, you have an amazing partner.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I can't wait to meet him. He's God's gift to man. I swear. The stuff
So
he's with.
It sounds like you know when you need to take a time out, and you take that time out.
I'm still learning, but I'm getting a lot better at knowing myself, and he knows me better than I know myself. So we kind of have code words that if he can tell that I'm in a bad place or getting somewhere, he just says it. And then I'm just like, you know what? You know me better than me. I'm going to go take a break, relax, reset, and try again.
Do you ever feel pressure or guilt when you go to take those breaks?
I feel pressure and guilt when I'm taking a shower and I'm not getting something done. When I'm using the bathroom and I'm not on my phone sending an email or checking claim status, I feel guilty. But the whole point is that, just like everybody talks about, you gotta put your mask on first. I have to take care of 3 kids and myself and a house and 3 dogs and 2 cats and fish and plants, and I need to put me first, and I've never done that my whole life. So even if it's a half an hour a day, I'm just forcing myself to be like, no one else matters for these 30 minutes. You're just you. You're not a mom. You're not a lawyer. I spend my days not worrying, but I mean, I care so deeply about all these people, and I'm an empath, so I feel everything they're feeling. And that by itself is so great, just the responsibility of it, that knowing that I'm only doing 30 minutes for myself, but I'm getting all of this stuff done, it makes me feel better about just taking 30 minutes. As long as I have it scheduled, because I'm not wasting time.
Man, I could unpack what you just said for probably an entire day. Totally. And the reason I say that is because, for example, Tally Goody talks a lot about self-care, right? And it's so crazy, because I feel like when I started practicing law, there was this idea that you could not be successful, or you didn't have what it took, unless you were working 18 hours a day, and when you got tired, you had to dig deep and push through. And that idea was such a struggle for me, because I know myself, and I know, somewhere around the 9:30 hour, I cannot work unless I have a huge deadline. Then, aside from that, I can't work, because when I get tired, I start making mistakes. And that's when I got to shut it down and pick it up again tomorrow. But through the pandemic, because I too have kids that are home learning and trying to field the phone calls, having to stop during, my son's lunch hour is earlier than my daughter's lunch hour, having to make them meals, and I got so overwhelmed so quickly, and then I'm snapping at everybody, and I'm feeling pressure because I got to get this work done. One thing that I learned is, number one, what you said, which is you have to know yourself. You got to know your limits. You got to know when you're running out of gas. And then on top of that, you have to know what to do about it. So you'll take a break. You'll put your headphones in. Your husband will take the kids. You'll recharge and reset, and then get back at it, right? And then the third thing is self-talk, right? You're not really taking that break if you are taking that break while beating yourself up about it. So what I've started doing is, when I start getting into that area or that space where I know, okay, it's time to shut it down. We went to visit the GHQ Torrance site recently, and it was all females that showed up for my particular tour time, and we were joking about having a nap room, because some of us will power nap, right? And the idea being that I talk to myself during those times the way that I would talk to my daughter if she was sick. Like, I'm not going to beat her up for not being able to do her chores when she's not feeling well. So I will talk to myself, and I'll say, it's okay to take a 30-minute time out. If you need to take a 30-minute time out, I'll put my headphones in. I listen to spa music, while I'm doing my chores, to try to bring it down. But I saw this thing on TikTok recently, and I was like, oh my God, I got to be careful on TikTok because I will self-diagnose with all the things they come up with. But one thing a parent said was, she said, I have what's called sensory overload. And I never realized that that's me. I'm very sensitive. You know, when the kids are screaming, there's a lot of noise, there's chaos around. Some people, they can just block that out and it's going on over here and they can still do. Me, I can't do that. I have sensory overload. When my kids are all over me, I can handle it for a certain period of time. And I learned that it's okay to set healthy boundaries by telling them, guys, you know, you're talking at a level 10, let's bring it down to a level 5. Guys, I want to love on you too, but you're gonna have to give me 30 minutes and then I'll come and give you hugs, you know? And my son did the cutest thing. I was starting to feel that the other day, and he was on his computer, school was over, he was watching YouTube, and I said, Cody, can I have a hug? And he looked up and he said, you need a hug? And I said, yeah. He said, yeah, come here. And I sat down, and he's 9, and he gives me a hug, and I said, okay, I appreciate that, I feel much better. And he said, you just needed a little love, Mom. It's okay to ask for it. And the lesson from the 9-year-old is, you identify what you need. It's okay to take it. It's okay to ask for it. And it sounds like you, through your journey, have learned the importance of identifying what it is you need, how to react to it, what the remedy is, and to feel okay taking that. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. It's a journey. I'm still learning, but
it's always a journey. It's always a journey, right? And a lot of it is perspective, but I can't imagine somebody who has been forced to gain more perspective than you.
Yeah.
So do you ever, now that you graduated, you said in 2019, and when did you pass the bar?
January 12th.
2021, brand new lawyer, okay? And you discover through trying to work for other firms that you can't do it because of who you uniquely are. So you get this idea to go start your own law firm. Did that scare you?
Oh, terrifying me. I mean, we don't have there's no guaranteed income. There's no anything. We've always had at least a set standard income. When we were in school, it was from the GI Bill. You know, before school, he was in the Air Force and I was in the Air Force. So this is all kind of all new ground for us. And it's not, I mean, most of the people that I know that are graduating from law school and starting out, yeah, they have student loans, which I don't have, which is amazing. I have no student loans, no debt, nothing, thanks to the Air Force. But I do have 3 kids and a lot of groceries to buy and a lot of just everyday normal things that people who don't have kids and don't, you know, have a house and have all sorts of adult responsibilities have to worry about. So if we can't close any cases or get enough cases or get to where we need to be, it's not just, myself or my husband that'll suffer. We have a lot of other people that depend on us. So
how do you manage that?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
How are you managing it? Like, when you're thinking in your mind, because I had the same thing, anybody would, right? My gosh, I have a family. I left a very good paying job to chase this dream of creating my own future, breaking the glass ceiling and autonomy. But in my mind, I had to weigh, the risk benefit. When you did that and you decided to open your own firm, what were the things that, you got your risk, you got your benefit, what outweighed what? Like, what pushed you to say, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it?
I see very many benefits to working in a firm. I mean, I worked for Wishburg or Woodsmith, Henning and Berman for a while, pushing in 60, 70 hours a week. I was working on the same things every single day, all day. I didn't learn anything. No one was mentoring me. I wasn't learning how to be a lawyer. I wanted to be the lawyer that I was seeing everybody else being, but nobody wanted to help me get there. Nobody wanted to take a chance on me. And I was like, screw it. I've taken all these jobs. I've worked for all these other people. I'm going to take a chance on myself for once. I never take a chance on myself. I've always done the easy thing. I've always done the comfortable, the thing, at least once I've had kids, to make sure that I have that income and I have that check and everyone's taken care of. But this is my life, and it's the only one I got. And my dream is to just like you said, to just be a badass and go out and fight for all these people that no one else is willing to fight for. No one, it's not that no one cares, it's just that there's no outrage. People are outraged about so many things, but not really the things that really matter, things that we could change and we can fix. Those aren't the things that people are outraged about. They're outraged about all the giant problems that no one can touch. But every single person, their issues to them, that's their whole world. And if I can, I don't know, just the amount of the reward that would come, or that does come, from helping individual people and talking to people and getting to know them and working with them, it's just something you can't get anywhere else. You can't get from a firm. You can't get from anywhere. I worked in the public defender's office and interacted with people all the time, but it's not the same thing, because you're working on behalf of the government for them. When I work with my clients, it's just me and my client, and like, we got this. We're a team, we fight the good fight. And as soon as I got a taste of that, after I watched the webinar with Brad and Bobby on Justice HQ, as soon as I knew Justice HQ was there, and gave me that little assurance that I needed, that I didn't have, that, hey, there's these other lawyers that are there and they feel the same way you do, and they want to support you and they want to be there for you. That's all I needed. And then I was like, I'm gone. We're doing this.
Okay. I wouldn't say that you have done what is easy or comfortable. Like, let's recap. You came out of a small town, you go join the Air Force, you break out of there in 4 years, you complete your undergraduate degree first in your family, you then go and complete law school, now you're getting your LLM, and then you go start your own firm. I would say that's somebody who doesn't mind facing a challenge.
I think once you've been kicked down 4,000 times, the 4,000 in first time and the next, they don't really count anymore. I don't really take it to heart when I get knocked down, or when, I fail at something. It doesn't get me like it used to. I just see it as like, all right, try again, do it again.
Okay, so did your resiliency play a part in the decisions that you've made? Knowing that no matter what happens to you, you can get back up.
With everything that I've been through, everything else is just small potatoes. It really is. I mean, I've seen so many things and done and been through so many things that now when life happens, I'm like, well, cool. At least I'm still alive, At least I woke up this morning.
And I'm wondering, because I had that thought too when I wanted to start my own firm. I thought, what could happen that I can't figure out a way to overcome? What could happen, given everything I've done, that I can't rise above? So when you decide to do something as big as come out of law school when you did and start your own firm, for you, somebody who, I'm sure you've seen things in the military, you got to consider, what could possibly take me down at this point? You have an attitude of resiliency, which tells me you have an attitude of faith. Whether it be in yourself, whether it be in a higher power, it sounds like you trust enough in yourself that you can succeed. You have confidence in yourself. Is that on? Is that off?
Good at portraying confidence and putting on a mask and being the attorney that everyone needs me to be, my clients need me to be. Honestly, I have zero confidence, none. I made an Instagram handle so that I could feel more confident, so that I could, fake it till you make it. I want to be that person. I want to be the confidence that you have and that Michelle has, and everyone here at Justice HQ, men and women alike. I envy them, and I'm gonna pretend and like I said, fake it till I do feel as confident as everyone thinks I am.
Sister, if you think that all of us out there are confident 100% of the time, you'd be wrong. Because part of it, I've been a lawyer a little bit longer than you have. not as long as other people in JHQ. I'm in my 10th year, right? And the reason why I like the fact that it's called the practice of law is because it is exactly that. It is a practice. We still make mistakes. The difference is we have exactly what you have, which is we get back up. We just keep getting back up. And the benefit to JHQ is that when we do run into a problem or we make a mistake and we're like, oh crap, what do? I jump on the JHQ Slack and I post it. Same as everybody else, same as you can. And we collaborate and we get ideas. And that's the beauty of JHQ, because when you're a solo practitioner, that's one of the loneliest things about being a solo practitioner is you don't have the benefit of other people in the firm. You can't just walk into somebody else's office and say, hey, what would you do about this? But we don't need that now because we've got JHQ. But in terms of confidence, you already possess the most important part of it, which is what could happen that I can't overcome. You already know you can overcome it. You've overcome things that half of attorneys out there couldn't even fathom. There's nothing that we are confident about that you shouldn't be confident about. And I know that it's like that beautiful woman that everyone tells her she's beautiful, but she doesn't feel beautiful, so it doesn't matter what anyone says. She's got to feel it for herself. I get that. But I'm telling you, as somebody who is a little bit further down the road than you already have it. You're not really faking it. You've already got it. The only thing you don't have that other people have is experience, and that all you have to do to gain experience is just keep breathing. Because those days are going to come. You're going to learn from everything you do each day. You're going to get the experience whether you like it or not. It's just what you do with it. And when it comes to that, your attitude is the most important thing, which is the second thing you have. So don't worry about that. That's coming. And your clients are very fortunate because not only do you have the experiences that you gained in the military, you said you suffered a TBI.
Yeah, before Air Force, I had a 4-inch fracture in the back of my skull and hemorrhaging like 7 spots in my brain. I still have aphasia, so like I can't, I get words mixed up a lot and I can't come up with the right words. My husband likes to call it playing charades.
But your clients who are suffering from things like TBI or injuries, you have a personal perspective about those things. Do you utilize that in your practice?
100%. I think that the fact that I've been through some of the things that most of my clients never thought that never thought they'd experience, and something that unless you've been through it, you can understand, but you can't. You can understand, but you can't really understand. I'm not sure if that makes a whole lot of sense. Clients have been through, other people that have had TBIs, especially TBIs. It's not something like, a broken leg, which is terrible. And, there's a healing and a recovery period, and the pain and the suffering on that is real, but it doesn't affect you in your everyday life, like the way that a TBI does, and the way that it changes who you are as a person. After I had my TBI, I had to kind of give up on the person that I thought I was going to be and accept that this new person, these new changes and differences in how I responded to things and how I thought about things. It's just who I was now. And that was a grieving period that I don't think a lot of people really understand or even think about. That after these people have gone through TBIs, they're grieving the loss of this life they had imagined for themselves, that's just gone. It's almost as if part of them died.
And so when you get that adjuster or that defense attorney that argues with you about a mild TBI, you can draw from personal experience when you're arguing on behalf of your client.
Yeah, when I write the demand letters or when I'm talking to adjusters, like I said, I just fight for my clients. Like I wanted somebody to fight for me. Nobody spoke out for me. Nobody advocated for me. And the difference between a good lawyer will, they'll contact the claims adjuster and they will write a good demand letter and they'll probably get you a good settlement. But they're not going to care for you and they're not going to advocate for you and fight for you the way that somebody who's been there will.
So you being a brand new lawyer that starts your own firm and you have cases currently, how did you get clients when you started?
So a couple of my clients were just contractors because we're working on our house. And then I got one client off of CALA, the Consumer Advocates Attorneys of Los Angeles. One of my clients is from there. And then the other clients that I have are just random family. You know, my husband has a lot of family in San Bernardino, and they've been here their entire lives. So I get a lot of referrals from, not, but referrals from their chiropractors or their doctors, their dentists, whoever they've seen. Other than that, I'm trying to get things through Facebook.
Is that working for you? And I'm wondering if your Instagram is helping you.
Yes and no. So it's so different from what our law firm, we're having trouble kind of merging the two, you know, my being a badass and in that my Instagram handle, merging that with our whole lawyer vets theme, because we want to convey, yes, that I'm a badass and I'm going to fight for you, but at the same time that, you know, that we're veterans and we have a different perspective and we understand things, and empathize with things that you've been through in a way that other attorneys don't. So that we're trying to figure out how to reconcile the fact that we have compassion and understanding and honesty and integrity with the, you know, F you pay me that I display to the other side. You know, it's like two different personalities almost. The one that I show to my clients is sweet and gentle and kind, and, you know, but I would never talk like that to an insurance adjuster. To an insurance adjuster, short, sweet, to the point. From my point of view, they owe my client money. They're withholding that money. And every dime that they don't give my client is just something that I haven't gotten from my client, not something they've held back. But it's all there. It's just on me to get it for them.
Do you market the fact that you're a vet?
Working on it, yeah. I mean, our Facebook group or my Facebook page and one of our Instagram handles, we're marketing as vets, but we're still in the middle of changing our DBA through the state bar and through the LA County to reflect lawyer vets instead of my full name.
And do you have a website?
Lawyervets.com. It's also cgpersonalinjury.com, but we have just been using the lawyervets.com because it's more focused on the practice that we're trying to establish.
And there was a news piece that covered you when you passed the bar. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's just kind of random. So I failed the bar twice, took it for the third time. I thought that was going to beat me. I really did. You know, we talk about resiliency and getting back up, but I had relegated myself to, if I didn't pass this third time, maybe law wasn't for me, or I was going to do something else. Because gosh darn, if I hadn't studied and studied and studied and done everything I could possibly do to try and pass this bar, but it just seemed like it was going to beat me down. So that last time I was like, I'm not going to pass. It's fine. I'll figure something else out. I'll work with it. You know, I had my therapist on call, so I knew that if I didn't pass, you know, she would be there for me to support me. But I mean, you saw the video and I passed, and I think when my kids were born, it's the only other time I felt that just heart hug, just the whole feeling of just happiness and joy and pride that not that, you know, I would have been proud if I passed the first time, and I would have been proud if I passed the second time. But the fact that I did it over and over and over again and refused to quit, that third time felt so good.
So they say statistically, the reason why it's so problematic to fail the bar is because each time you take it, statistically, your chances of passing lower because it kills your confidence. And I was very surprised when I became a lawyer. I went to work for a very large, well-known medical malpractice firm. And there were several of the partners, two of which went to, I think, like Yale or something. Both of them assumed that because they went to Yale, that they didn't need to study for the bar because they were that smart, and they failed it. And they said it was the biggest piece of humble pie they'd ever had. and they went back and took it again. And the people that I know personally, that I even went to law school with, that took the bar multiple times, work harder and they're scrappier as lawyers than anyone I know, because they know what that feels like, to want something so bad, to get so close, to not get it, and then have to decide whether you're going to come back and do it again.
Missed by 1.5 questions. Oh man, I was so close. And then the second time, I don't know how this happens to me. The girl that I was taking the exam with next to me just stood up about 15 minutes before it ended and passed out face first, right on the cement next to me. So I was cut up and was like sitting on the floor with her, like waiting for the paramedics to come. And it's definitely been an experience. This whole thing has been quite a ride.
So how do you think that failing it twice and passing it the third time, how do you think that translates into the kind of attorney you are today?
I think it's a representation of the kind of attorney I am, because I mean, a lot of attorneys will get discouraged, or once it gets past the settlement process, they don't have the I guess not confidence, but the wherewithal to take it to trial, to take it to appeal. And what I tell my clients is, yes, I'm here to speak to the negotiators and the claims adjusters, and hopefully we can get this remedied in a month or two. We don't have to go to trial. That'd be amazing. But I'm not going to let them take a deal where they're getting screwed. They're owed a certain amount of money, and if the claims adjusters aren't going to give that to them, then I'll co-counsel. I'll find someone else to go to court with me, but I'll take it to trial. I'll take it to appeal. I'll appeal all the live long day. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I take all my clients on contingency, and that contingency that I take, I make sure that they get every single dollar they're paying for.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all of my guests. If you know someone who's in law school and they're trying to decide whether or not they should go work for someone or they should own their own practice, and they decide they want to start with their own practice, what are the 3 tips you give them?
Any extra money you can save, because you would be amazed at how the little fees from owning your own practice that you didn't think you would have to cover, you do, and they add up very quickly. Second is to just the same as it was in law school, to do work on your own time, because I've been told my whole life, in the Air Force, you get up at 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., you're in class at 6. You are expected to fit, like I said, in this perfect little cog. And I'm not one of those people. If I have nightmares and they wake me up in the middle of the night, sometimes I do my best work at 2:34 in the morning. I wake up, I can't go back to sleep. Like, I'm awake, my kids are sleeping, which never happens. Like, I wish you knew. But just, if you work best at 10 at night or 11 at night or at 2 in the morning, whenever you work best, you shouldn't have to feel like you need to get your work done on someone else's time. I try to do me, I do my kids, housework, whatever I can in the morning, because I'm just not a real person. Like right now, this is my coffee. But I found that just doing it on my own time, and not, everybody else says, okay, do 2 hours of work here, 2 hours here, 2 hours here, 2 hours here. Me, I wrote a 25-page paper in 2 days, and it was great. I had another one that took me 6 months to write. But it's all about using your time the way you want to use it, not the way someone else thinks you should.
So again, you're advocating know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, you go through law school and grad school and undergrad, every single place you go teaches you to try and fit and be this model of what an attorney should be. This is what you should say, and this is what you should do, and this is who you should be. And I tell them to just, go F themselves. Because if that's what you're going to do, you're going to burn yourself out. Just as soon as you start, you're not going to be resilient to anything if all you're trying to do is fit into this perfect little mold. As soon as I started just being myself, this is my firm, I'm going to get out of it what I want to. I enjoy just working with the clients and developing their stories. And I found that I get I get better writing done and I produce better quality work when I actually have that connection with the client, which I think is also lost at a lot of firms. So if people can just get into, like you said, in touch with themselves and work on their own time and work on the things that they want to work on, like I said, on their own time, I think that they would get a lot more out of everything that they're doing.
Do you know Carla Waymeyer?
Oh my gosh, I love her. She's the one that helped me come up with my name for my Instagram. Well, just some of her confidence. Oh my
I can't say enough good things about that woman, but one of the ideas that she was talking about when she was on Level Up was this notion of being able to be who you truly are when you run your own firm. And she was saying that when she was able to just be unapologetically who she authentically is, she experienced this extraordinary sense of freedom. And I think that's along the lines of what you're saying, definitely along the lines of what I'm saying. I oftentimes will feel this pressure of comparing myself to other attorneys, watching them grow, wondering why I'm not growing as fast or why I'm not doing it as well or whatever, until I realize that we're all on our own journey. And the most important thing is if you treat it like a race, you're going to be so unhappy. And the whole point of doing what we're doing is to be able to be happy. So when you're living your truth and you're true to who you are and you're doing things on your own agenda and you're producing better work because you're doing it authentically true to you, you can be happy at the same time. Would you agree with that?
Be working for myself is the only time I've ever been happy. Honestly, all through law school, I volunteered everywhere. I worked every semester. I have a resume 4 pages long just from law school, and I wasn't happy in any of them. I was good at it. I did good work. I got everything done on time. I got promotions, I got awards, whatever, but I wasn't happy. I was miserable all the time because it was just me doing something for someone else. I wasn't helping, just working.
Okay, so we've got save money, we've got work, according to your own agenda. And what's the third tip you would give somebody?
Honestly, just try to find something in your life that you can do every day that makes you happy. Like, I like to give people compliments. I know it sounds really weird and some people get creeped out. But everywhere I go, I'll be like, oh, I like your pants. Or, oh, that your hair looks so pretty today. Or I try to recognize, and I'm not going out of my way. These are all things I'm thinking, but nobody says them out loud.
It's true. And you know what is funny is I place a particular emphasis on complimenting other women because I think a compliment that comes from a woman is more valuable than when it comes from a man. So I do this regularly because, believe it or not, I just came back from the South and I saw that women do it a lot there, but they don't do it a lot here. And I'm into fitness, so whenever I'm in the gym, I'll make a point of telling other women, like, God, you're really killing it, man, your arms look great. And the weirdest compliment I ever gave was my daughter was at the YMCA, and I went to pick her up, and this mom walked up to pick up her daughter, and I just looked at her, and I'm like, woman, you are assholes. Like, her butt was so perfect. And then I realized the minute I said it, I was like, oh, that could come off really weird. But she just had this Cheshire grin from ear to ear. And she was like, oh my God, thank you. And so now I make it a point. I think that's such a beautiful thing because you never know what that person is going through. When you give them a compliment, that could change someone's entire day.
And just hearing something other than, like, do you want fries with that, or what kind of drink do you want, some actual human interaction, especially kindness. Oh, it's worth its weight in gold.
Okay, Danyelle, I am truly inspired by you. I am really grateful that you were as raw with me today as you were. I am so excited to watch your career grow. I expect to see amazing things from you. I think you've got such a healthy perspective, way healthier than I had when I was at your experience level. I'm grateful I met you. I'm glad you're a part of JHQ, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. I know you've got children at home and you've got your responsibilities. So thank you for coming on the show and inspiring other people with your story.
Thank you for having me, Ashley. I hope that we can actually get together in person sometime soon.
Oh my God, girl, me too. Me too. I am socially over COVID. All right, everybody, thanks for joining this week's edition of Level Up with Laiken. Oh, before I forget, Danyelle, tell people where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me at lawyervets.com. My email is Dany, Dany, @lawyervets.com.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Sending you lots of love, joy, and success this week. We will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Danyelle.
Thank you, Ashley. Bye.
Bye.